been busy today here?
This very simple act played out at neighborhood schools and community centers across the province. One little mark and a drop in the box. It's an exercise that many around the world would and do die for. The place, Ukraine. Last month, presidential elections, the eastern part of the country consumed by war, chaos, crime. Pro-Russian separatists rule the streets where less than 20% of polling stations were even open. There were tanks barreling through the streets in parts of Ukraine.
Yes.
Terrifying people from even going to a polling station if there happened to be
Yes.
one. That's a completely different picture than what we see in this country.
Of course. Those people obviously in those regions couldn't necessarily vote because, I mean, if you have, armed people running around, you maybe wouldn't want or be able to vote. And I mean, this is like in some parts of Ukraine, it was like this.
Alexander was born in Kiev and now lives in Toronto, works here for Ukrainian Canadian Social Services. Like many foreign-born Canadians, he has a theory on low voter turnout in this country.
Here, the apathy is more prevalent just because we have this, I guess, cozy life. And in Ukraine and countries that are not as well off, it's a little bit different in that sense.
A funky tailor shop on Queen Street East.
So I do have your suits with me.
Great.
But
In between customers,
I have to show you this. I do have this one.
Nasir shows off this tangible ticket to democracy.
But I will do it. It's so easy. But back then it was not like that.
Back home is this. Afghanistan, where residents this week will vote in presidential runoff elections, where casting a ballot can be a death wish. For months, the Taliban has been sending bloody messages to keep voters away, including this bombing that killed 16 in Kabul, 2 of them Canadian.
One of the polls that you go and vote, some suiciders just go and explode themselves.
While Nasir casts his ballot here, his family will be doing the same in their elections back home. The experiences couldn't be more different.
I have 3 sisters back home. 3 of them, they're high school teachers. They're scared. But they want to vote. They have to do it, even if they're going to risk their lives.
Syria is another hot spot where people are dying for democracy.
Blood was shed for the sake of this election.
Earlier this month, Syria had its first democratic presidential elections.
We had 40 years of dictatorship. We never had voting. All people had, they had just polling, whether you have to say yes or no. Whoever say no go to jail.
In the midst of a brutal civil war, Syrians have been given a sip of democracy, allowed to vote in an election that kept President Bashar al-Assad in power, an election much of the world has dismissed as a sham.
There were actually people who voted 3 times. It's mockery of election. It's like how to say, they're making fun of the democracy. It's a joke.
9,000 kilometers away from Mahar's homeland of Damascus, Syria, a message to those here who still do have time to cast a ballot.
People should really be thankful that they're in Canada, and they should really think 100 times before saying they don't want to vote.
Nasir is 11,000 kilometers away from his homeland of Kabul, Afghanistan. In this province, he says, Election Day is something to celebrate, not wish for or even fear. Is it a powerful thing for you to walk in and cast your ballot?
It is. I can go and vote so freely. I'm not going to be scared of anybody, and I can vote whoever I want to vote for. It depends.
Imagine feeling grateful that you're free to vote and not feeling scared and can vote for who you want to vote for.
Especially in the case of certain countries where women do not have the right to vote. And, for people who desire change in their neighborhood, their city, their province, their country, get involved, vote, and join the process.
And you have about 2.5 hours, so you still can do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your story ideas. I am on Twitter @CityAvery.
The Inside Story runs every Tuesday and Thursday on City News. All segments are up on our website, citynews.ca.